Hello everyone. Welcome to this webinar or workshop about automated screening using the Evidence Review Accelerator. I'm Justin, a research fellow in Evidence Review Acceleration at the Institute for Evidence-Based Healthcare at Bonn University. Before we get started, before I actually go on and start to show the tools and talk about anything else, I always just like to give credit to the fantastic computer scientists I work with. These are the people who do all the heavy lifting and all the hard work of actually bringing these tools into reality and improving getting the usability great and getting them working really well. So without these people, there would be no tools and I wouldn't get to run webinars or go to conferences or publish research papers. So they deserve a lot of credit. So first of all, Matt. So Matt and I have been working together building these tools since day one. So it's been about 11 years we've been working together now. Very talented doctor of computer science, brains behind a lot of the stuff we do. Connor joined us about 7 years ago now. Still young, but he was a lot younger back then. Very, very, very talented young man who has also built a lot of these tools, of course. Tian, who's joined us about 4 years ago, I think, now, 5 years maybe. Time flies when you're working with such great people. So she's got a couple of masters in research and also, builds a lot of these tools. And finally, Irene, who's been with us for 2 years now. She is also very talented, has a master's of IT as well. So all of these people are super talented computer scientists. Without them, as I say, there'd be no tools. And I'd just like to make sure they get the kudos and the credit that, they very much deserve. So to do a review, so I'm just going to talk very briefly about all the steps to do a review. Then I'll go into using the tool. So to do a systematic review, there are 6 sort of broad steps or tasks you need to complete. You need to write a protocol for the review. So that is where you spell out what you're going to do. So it's kind of a recipe for what you'll follow. So it's the type of studies you're looking for, the type of question you're trying to answer, the type of intervention you're looking for, and the type of patients or people, who are being treated. Then you upload that and you register it. So that's writing the protocol. Then you have to find some studies. So this database, um, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen. Sorry, my apologies. The joys of doing webinars late at night. So first of all, Matt, Connor, Tian, and Irene. So my apologies for the inevitable share screen forgetfulness. So MechaScreener helps with writing your reviews and doing your reviews. Write the protocol, find some studies. So that's when you search databases, collate all your stuff, deduplicate it, get it ready. Select studies. This is a manual review process where 2 people look at the search results and they decide whether a study is includable or excludable. You need to extract and assess study data. So that's where you pull the data out of the studies that you're interested in and that answer your question. Not all the data in all studies will be relevant to you. So you pull out the bits that are relevant to you. You then assess the study data. This is normally done by risk of bias. You say whether the study is biased or not biased, or you can also do other quality assessment. Synthesize the data. That's where you combine everything together either via a meta-analysis or narratively, where you kind of describe the studies and then write the review itself. Fingers crossed, hopefully publish it. So MechaScreener helps with step or task 3, which is selecting studies. So MechaScreener has been designed to help select studies, but only via title and abstract screening. It doesn't really support, well, it doesn't support full text screening, although you can use it for that if you really like, but it doesn't read PDFs at the moment. It's something we might bring in later. So it's primarily used to help with title and abstract screening. Accessing MechaScreener. So MechaScreener is available via our platform of tools called the Evidence Review Accelerator, or Terra for short. The URL is there, terra-tools.com. You can Google Terra Tools or you can Google the Evidence Review Accelerator, find it as well. And that's the URL. MechaScreener is down on the left-hand side. Just here, I've got to update my slide. So MechaScreener is no longer in beta mode. We've done a lot of evaluations, and I'll talk about the evaluations right at the end that we've done. So it's now in full production mode, and we are now using this to do our reviews where I work. So this is just a screen in case the internet broke on me and I couldn't use it. So I'm going to go through all of this, how to use it, how to import and export in about 1 minute. First of all, though, case study 1. So this is just using the automated screening process. So just using MechaScreener to do the automated screening. So this is uploading a file, put in your inclusion criteria, run the MechaScreener. Then you just download the to screen file. Then once you've got that, you can then put that into whatever screening platform, whatever screening tool you prefer to use. So I'm going to test this out. I'm going to upload and screen it for this topic, which is blue light therapy to treat acne vulgaris. First of all, to do that, you'll need some studies. So luckily, I have an EndNote library full of blue light to treat acne search results. So you need to get these search results out of EndNote. You can get references into Terra or use the MechaScreener in lots of ways. You can upload NBib files from PubMed, .cgi files from Ovid, EBSCO files, Embase files, and you can put them together and merge them. Or you can just put them into a reference manager like EndNote and export them, which is what I'll do. So I'll file and export. So you can export them as a RIS file or a text file. We always suggest exporting them as an XML file because the XML files are a bit easier for the computer to read and process. So it just processes them a bit quicker, that's all. So I've got the files out. Now I'll go over to Terra. I will log in. So this is Terra, or the Evidence Review Accelerator. I'll just talk before I start using the MechaScreener, I'll talk very briefly about some of the things such as membership costs and what you get if you do become a member and what you can do if you don't become a member. I highly recommend when you first log on, if you haven't used it before, watching these 2 short videos. The first one is just getting set up and creating a project. The second one is just managing files and talks about how to get files in and out of Terra. We have other help videos here. These are a lot more extensive and cover things in a lot more detail. We also have a LinkedIn group where we often put up little tips and tricks and new features and new things that are coming. And then account types. So there are 2 different account types when you use Terra. You can use the free account, so you can sign up for free. Just put in your email and create a password, and I think we then send you an email confirmation thing, and then away you go, and you can start using it. So if you use the free account, what that means is you can create and run 1 project at a time. You can also then screen up to 1,000 records per month in the MechaScreener tool. So that's with the free one. With the free account, though, you can join as many projects as you like. So if one of your colleagues, if you get invited to 5 different Terra projects, with the free account, you can join all 5. It's only creating new projects where you get restricted. And you're restricted on the amount you can screen every month. If you become a Terra member, which I think does cost 10 Australian dollars a month or 100 Australian dollars a year, you can create as many projects as you like. So it's not capped, it's not 5 projects or 3, you don't buy more. You either have a free account, 1 project, or become a member. You can create 20, 50 if you really like. So that's one aspect. You can still also join as many projects as you like. The other great benefit is you can screen 10,000 records a month using the MechaScreener. So it does substantially boost the amount you can use the tool to screen for or with. So to get started screening, I'm going to create a project. So I've got project settings and I'll hit, I'll go to my projects and I'll go create. So this will be a MechaScreener test project. We support a few different review types. We also have a few little tools to help do randomized trials, but mainly we support review type or reviews. So we support systematic, scoping, network meta-analysis, diagnostic, and umbrella reviews, which is systematic reviews that review systematic reviews. I'll just stick to systematic review. Then I'll go create new project. I always recommend giving it a short name. And the way projects in Terra work means that you can invite other people to join your project. If you do, they have access to everything that you might be using, access to all the files. They can upload files and screen and use all of the tools. To invite someone, you just type in their email, and I'll invite Matt, who knows to ignore my emails. And you send an invite. Matt will now get an email from us saying you've been invited to join MechaScreener test project. Click this link, and then he will join the project. If he doesn't have a Terra account, it will first prompt him to create an account. So Matt's been invited. When he accepts it, it'll change from invited to member. So to delete a project, if you only want to be running one at a time, you click that button, hit delete, type the word delete in here, make sure you type it right, press delete. I won't do that. And that will delete your project. And also, if you're a little worried about inviting people in that you don't really trust, the only person who can delete a project is the creator of the project. So if you have the little crown over your head, that means you're the creator. That means you can delete the projects. If you're not the creator, you can only leave the project. So you can also leave projects as much as you like. And if people don't respond quick enough and you don't like them very much, you can also just kick them. So Matt's 30, that's too long. I'll get rid of him. So I will then remove Matt from the project. So that's just a little bit about getting started, getting projects set up, and getting projects running. To use any of the tools, you do need to first create a project. So I'll now go down to the MechaScreener tool. So there's a big white box, which is choose citation library to screen. All of our tools use a similar white box. That's how you upload references for the tools to be interfaced with, and so the tools can use them. So I'll click on choose citation library to screen. This will take me to my project files list, which is the same as the project files list here. So you can also just upload projects into here as well. So there's no files in there yet. So I'll just go upload file. I'll find my bunch of references I want to screen and upload them. I'll then click on it to load it into the MechaScreener. Then I'll hit continue. So up here we default, so you can use MechaScreener, which I'll talk about next, just as a manual screening tool, which it's pretty good for that. But if you want to do the automated screening, click enable automated screening. This then pops up with the automated screening interface. So first of all, it tells you how many credits you're going to use. I currently have 7,493 credits. So one credit equals one reference screened. So screening 551 references will use up 551 credits. If it doesn't, you'll see in red, 30 are missing title abstract. We don't screen anything for you if it's missing missing an abstract normally. So because the large language model just can't really do anything with it, and it can't make an assessment just on title alone. So if it doesn't have an abstract, we don't screen it. We also don't charge you a credit to screen it. So it'll be automatically put into the humans need to review this or the to screening pool. We recommend using Pico criteria as your input. You can switch it off and then you can just type whatever you like. We always recommend using the Pico criteria. You can also use exclusion criteria. If you really want, if you've got a lot and you're not excluding enough, we recommend not using it because the large language models get very confused by exclusion criteria. They're very good within inclusion criteria. Exclusion criteria confuses them a bit, but you can use it if you would like, but I'll switch it off. Then you fill out your inclusion criteria prompts. So I've got them here. So I'm interested in people with acne, people treated with blue light phototherapy is my intervention. I think the comparator is blank. My outcome I'm interested in is reduction in acne severity. And I'm looking for randomized trials only, so I'll tag the randomized trials box. Hit continue, it just gives you a bit of overview of what's going on. Hit finish. This will then bundle them up and it will process them and it will ship them off to our large language model that we use to screen them. And well, this is how fast it is. So 581 won't take too long. If you've got 5 or 6,000 to screen, you might want to go make a coffee or watch a couple of funny cat videos while you're waiting. I did think about using much smaller samples so we don't all have to sit here staring at that blue line increasing, but it doesn't really showcase what the tool really does with a much smaller sample. So 581 I felt was about as long as we can all bear to watch this screen fill up. I didn't come prepared with any jokes. Sorry to fill in the dead time. Cool. All right, so it's finished processing. So what it does is it assesses the studies that you've uploaded. It then gives them a score from 1 to 5, an eligibility score from 1 to 5. So 5 being probably very eligible, 1 being probably not eligible at all. So it puts up all of the studies that score a 2 to a 5 into the 2-screen pool that we recommend for human reviewing. So anything in the 2-screen pool, we highly recommend humans have a look through them and humans manually screen anything in the 2-screen pool. Down here in the exclude pool, so these are everything that's scored a 1. We don't look at these anymore. I mean, the first time you use any tool, you should probably check them. You can have a quick skim through, which I recommend, so you kind of get a bit of faith and a bit of trust in the system. But we don't look at them and we automatically exclude these now. So that's from 581, 2-screen is 284. So whatever that is, I think 45%. So it's probably, yeah, about that. So it's basically automatically removed 55% of your screening workload within a couple of minutes. And these are the types of numbers that we very commonly see. Again, I'll talk about numbers right at the end, but this sort of removal of about 55% automatically, very safely as well, is the type of numbers that we very often see. So at the moment, if you have a look, I've got unsaved changes here. If you've got unsaved changes, this will auto-save every 15 minutes, so not too much can go wrong. But if you want to just save it, you can go hit Control S. This will then save the tool data. Save what you're doing. I think my internet doesn't like the cold weather on the Gold Coast. You can also just hit backup as well. So this actually creates then a backup which gets stored in your project files. So if you back up, this will also save what you've done, which you then can reload later if you're doing something else. All right, so run the screen. And then if you want to pull these references out, so you want to pull them out, put them into a different screening platform or put them into EndNote, click Save Screen References. Then at the moment I've got 0 includes because I'm not using it as a screener. So all I want to do is save the 2 screen ones. So I go save. It'll then prompt me to give it a name. So I'll just call it 2 screen blue light. XML, you can save it as lots of different file types. We highly recommend saving it as an XML file. And if I save it, this will then go into my project files in my project. So I'll close that. I'll then go to project files. So this is where they're all stored, or this is where that file is stored. And then I've got 2 screen blue light here. There's a couple of ways to download it. If you tick on it, you can then just hit the download button, or every file's got these 3 little buttons, which means do more things. Click that, hit download. This will then download that set for you. You can put them in wherever you like. I will put these into EndNote. So that's my 284 in EndNote ready to be screened. Not that I recommend you screen EndNote, mind you. So that's using the MechaScreener tool simply for the automated screening process. I'll now kind of repeat that a little bit with a slightly smaller one, but I'll repeat it using all of the tools in combination, and also talk about how to resolve discrepancies between reviewers using our tools. So to do this, what I'm going to first do is I'm going to use our automatic protocol writer called the Review Wizard. I'm only going to fill out the Pico section for that, upload the file again, import it, and then I'll kind of show you how to screen some of the things that are in the MechaScreener to help you screen a bit more efficiently. And then I will compare it, show you how to compare it to other people's screening results in our other tool called the Disputatron. So for this one, I'm going to do balneotherapy to treat chronic venous insufficiency. So again, I will go back to Terra. I'll go to my projects, create a new one. Systematic review, I'll leave that. I'll just give it a short name, balneotherapy. I won't invite anyone in this time. I'll grab my balneotherapy results that I need. So I'll save these as an XML file. I'll upload this time. I'll just upload them into my project files to get them ready. So now I'll come down to the Review Wizard. So the Review Wizard will help you write a protocol. I'm not doing a Review Wizard session today, but if you fill out all of these questions it asks you and then hit generate output, it will actually write the method section for your protocol for you. But I'm just going to fill out the eligibility criteria because then I'll automatically import them in to the MechaScreener tool. So the population we're interested in is people with venous insufficiency. Intervention is anyone treated with balneotherapy. Comparator I will just leave. And then outcomes, edema, leg ulcers, pain, quality of life, I think, and adverse effects probably. So I'll put them in there. I'll also click randomized trials. All right, so that's all saved there in the Review Wizard. Now I'll come back down to the MechaScreener tool. I'll close my blue light one. Hopefully. Upload my balneotherapy references. So this is 338. Yep, this is 338. I'll hit continue. So I'll enable automated screening. This time, instead of typing everything in, I'll just use the Pico criteria. So I'll hit use Pico criteria from Methods Wizard, which you need to change that to Review Wizard. Um, and that just automatically pulls all of those Pico criterias in, which can be quite handy because you don't have to type them out every time if you use it for different phases. So if you use it for database screening, but also use it for citation search screening, and if you do an update, you can just use it again. Just makes life a little bit easier. It won't pull in the type of study it is though, so I still need to manually tick randomized trials. Hit continue, and then pump it out. I did purposely choose a smaller one because I didn't want to have to watch 581 again either. Cool. So again, it's finished screening. So this time, apparently large language models understand balneotherapy much better than blue light. So you can see the workload savings a lot higher this time. The screen pool's only 89 out of the 338, and we've got automatic exclude of 249. So to actually then start screening, so we've got quite a few features to help. First of all, the one very much is the one right down the bottom, which is configure keyword. So if you click on that, you can then put in include and exclude keywords. So balneotherapy, I'll put in and add that. And then maybe you don't want cohort studies, for instance. So you can put in cohort and add that. That means that whenever balneotherapy shows up, it'll be highlighted in a nice bright green. Whenever cohort shows up, it'll be a big red. The next thing is to actually start screening. So we've got all of this set up for hotkeys. You can use, this if you like to move it to a different group, or you can just use the hotkeys. So the hotkeys are the space bar will exclude something, or the number one key will also exclude something. The left arrow includes something. The number two key also includes something. To add, you can add a new custom group quite often, and to kind of modify and edit it, you hit the edit button here. Quite often you'll find that there is a study that you look at, which maybe is not useful or not includable, but it's probably something that could be quite good to reference in your introduction section. And I might use the I hotkey for that. You can also change the color, which I might use a nice aqua color, and then save. So then if you press the I button, it'll go into the introduction group, and you can create as many groups as you like. As you're screening, you can press the A button, and the A button will show you the abstract for the paper. We also put in the URL and the DOI. These are very helpful if you want to go off and find the full text. So you can click on that, will take you to the URL that's in there, or you can copy and paste this DOI into Google, and it'll take you straight to the full text of the article. You can also, if you like, just show all abstracts, and it'll just open up and show all the abstracts, or hide all abstracts. We'll do the same thing. So that's screening. You can batch select as well. So by batch selecting, I mean you can select a whole bunch of them and screen them all together as a batch. So maybe all the abstracts, you've had a quick skim through the titles and gone, these are all excludes. And you can multi-select using the normal tools, which is holding down Shift button. or then just multi-select as many as you like. And if I press the space bar, they all just go straight to the excludes. You can also hold down Control, and you can select multiple. You can also sort by different ranks. I quite like to sort by inclusion score. I actually normally start at the fives, but if you start at the twos, you know that these ones are probably unlikely to be included, so it's a bit safer to exclude them. Or you can go through them probably a bit quicker. You can also see here that balneotherapy is highlighted green, which is good. And then here, this is a cohort study, so that's been highlighted red. So I'm actually just going to get rid of that one as well. The final thing we've got to help with screening is you can actually search. So it's quite handy to sometimes search. So maybe if I search for cohort, and I'll see if there's any more. There's one more. So this will have cohort in it. So you know this one's got cohort in it. So I'll exclude that. But I can also search in different fields. So our default setting, so if you click on search settings, our default setting is that you search the title, the abstract, and the keywords fields, which is normally the mesh term fields. You can actually untick them and just search only in the title field. So I could search in the title field for balneotherapy. This then shows me all of the ones where balneotherapy is in the title. So like this means that these ones are, you know, quite likely going to be included. So it can be a good way just to kind of get your screening going and to find studies. In this case, though, I'm going to go, that's a 2. I don't want it, don't want it. That one looks pretty good, and these two are duplicates of that one, so I'll just get rid of those. And now I'll just cancel my searching. So that's pretty much all of the screening. So when you finish screening, what you're going to have to do is compare your results, your inclusion results to your co-screener's inclusion results, and then work through any disputes. So I'm not going to do that for real. Got 69 to go. I'm just going to assume if MechaScreener gave it a 1 to a 3, it's excludable. In fact, 1 to a 4, excludable, and then I just put in the 2, 3 5s that are left. Oof, 5 includes. All right, so, you know, I'm going to assume I've missed a couple. So I've got 5 includes here. These are my 5 includes. I'll have a co-screener. What I need to do is identify their include or get their includes as well, and then compare these two inclusion decisions. So I'm going to save my screen references. I'll save my 5. It will automatically, I think, give it the name screened include JC, so they're my initials. I might just put Balneo at the end. Save that. That'll then get put in my project files. Then I'll come back and I'll get my co-screener. So I'll just grab these. So I'll export these, switch to XML. Put these in here as well. All right, so now that my include decisions are in and my co-screeners includes are in, I come down to the Disputatron tool. So first of all, this is entirely optional, but you know, it's a good idea to do it. You put in the number of references that you screened. So here we've screened 338. So I type in 338. I'll put in my name here. And I'll put my includes in here. And then Matt can help me. But I put Matt's in there and hit submit. So that'll compare those two files and it'll tell me where they're the same and where they're different. It also gives you your accuracy measures, which you might like to report on. The only one I really care about is this one, 98.22%, so that's pretty good. So it defaults to show just the conflicts or the disputes. So this is where you've disagreed with each other about what should be included. If you want to look at it, you can actually go and see the ones where you agree with each other, which are highlighted in nice blue. So this is included by all or both Matt and myself. So I'll just go back to conflicts. So then you just go through and you can look at the abstract and you just talk to each other and you decide which one is includable and which one's excludable. So I'm going to go that Matt probably knows what he's doing. So we'll include this one. And I'll switch this one as well to include that one. And I'll assume that Matt's wrong here. And I'm going to go with the fact I was wrong on this one as well. I was right on this one. So I'll include these ones. And then I'll go save. This then will save both our agreements, so the four we agreed on, but also any we now tick as includes. So I might call this now ready for full text screening. So now these are ready for full text screening. Now you get the PDF and you would go through the process again for full text screening. So that's pretty much it for using MechaScreener, either as just a purely automated tool to do the screening for you, or if you want to screen in the tools and use the platform, that's how you screen and also then compare results with your co-screener. So finally, I'm just going to run through the numbers. So this is a presentation I did at JBI Colloquium. Actually, sorry, before I do that, I'll go back to the MechaScreener. And up here, we actually have a citation link or a link. So this is the preprint. So I'm just going to talk through the numbers in a sec, but you can actually go read the preprint. We've submitted this paper for publication, but we put the preprint up because, well, if people are using it, it would be good if they could go and read the actual paper itself. Obviously, this won't be the final published version. Peer reviewers will do their thing, but all of the actual data and stats and numbers and I'm not going to read through it, but so this is the actual paper that we've submitted and hopefully the reviewers like it and the journal likes it. So hopefully we'll be publishing this soon. So back to the actual stats. So it's very important when you're using tools, especially tools driven by large language models or generative AI, to not really trust them and to look for any evaluations of them before you trust them. So we've evaluated this internally on 15 published reviews. We evaluated it on a range of reviews, RCTs, reviews with RCTs, but also reviews with intervention studies in them as well, and various types of reviews. And quite importantly, because a lot of people think that the prompts are really important and that you've got to have a highly skilled eligibility prompt engineer to be able to get these tools working well. We got 3 different people to design the eligibility prompts. One was a novice reviewer, so that was Connor, and although he's a fantastic computer scientist, very clever dude, he had only done 1 review in his life before, so but he designed 5 of the prompts. We had a PhD student design another 5. Again, she's very talented, but had only done a couple of reviews before as well. So she designed 5, and then I designed 5 of the prompts. So we each did 5 each. So with 3 different people designing prompts for the evaluations. These are the reviews we evaluated. I won't read through them all, but it's quite a wide range. So we've got antibiotic prescribing in there, effective salt substitution, bowel now therapies in there, which is where I pulled it from. I don't know, topical steroids, but we've got population-based interventions, so it is quite a broad range of reviews. So these are, when we did the evaluations, kind of we set it up automatically. So this is processed by the computer, but these are the prompts that we actually used in the evaluation. So these are the prompts for topical oral steroids for otitis media with effusion in children. And I'd just like to show this because it gives a good example of the fact that the prompts don't actually have to, be huge, long, super complicated. These are reasonable sorts of prompts that you can just kind of just type in yourself. I mean, children with otitis media with effusion, and then people given steroid therapy. We have our outcomes here in quality of life, adverse events, and then randomized trials. So that's actually what the prompts look like. This is the second prompt example. So this is the falls prevention review. This is where they looked at how to try to help prevent falls in older people. So again, patients over 45 years old is just our inclusion criteria. Fall prevention. Oh, we didn't even use falls prevention. Um, well, exercise was one of the other interventions, safety education, nutrition therapy to see if they would work compared to usual care. But again, incidence of falls, hospitalizations, nothing too complicated there. And we also included randomized trials, step wedge designs, and this one was for non-randomized trials. So that's kind of the prompts. They're basically just have to be your standard PICO criteria from your review. And then these are the results of the evaluations. So this is where we just automatically exclude anything that scores a 1. The important numbers to look at, I mean, that's all the numbers. If you really want to look at them in detail, you can go and read the preprint, which has got all this data in it. But the important ones to look at is recall and specificity. So recall is how accurate was it, or how many of the included studies did it then include in the to-screen pool? So across every review we've evaluated it on, and not just these, we've got anecdotal, evidence, which don't trust that, but we've used it on lots of different reviews as well, not just these 15s, and we've never found a time where it excluded an includable study. So we've got 100% recall across every review. Specificity is number of irrelevant or ineligible studies it excluded. So specificity is screening workload saving. So for antibiotic prescribing, it removed 66% of the studies safely. So there's a 66% workload saving. Down here, though, for COVID in schools, 21%. So this one was quite a complicated review. Again, though, it got 100% accuracy. But for some of the really complicated ones, the workload saving is not necessarily always as high, but it does float around that 55 to 65 mark. And down the bottom of the means, so the mean recall is always 100%. Mean workload saving across all these reviews was 62%. So it's on average, MechaScreener will reduce your screening workload by 62%. This one is just a bit of an interesting stat. So we then also tested it or evaluated it if we automatically removed anything that scored a 1 or a 2. It still did really well across a lot of them, but not well enough for us to use it because we're only interested if it's 100% safe. But even here, it did pretty well. It didn't like tuberculosis and diabetes very much. So this is the one which really did poorly. A lot of the others got 100%. So again, the mean here, though, is 96%. So this is why we haven't put in the option to actually auto-exclude 1s and 2s, because just there's a chance and a risk it will remove an includable study. So that's why we've got it set to only exclude anything that scores a 1. But of course, the workload saving is substantially higher. The workload saving is on average 85%. So there's a big boost in workload saving with a small risk of removing an includable or eligible study. And that's it. So that's the workshop and webinar. Sorry, I went 5 minutes over. But I guess I probably do like talking about the numbers and the evaluations. So that's the workshop and the webinar. I'm going to go through, if there are any questions, I'll answer them. But for those of you who just popped in for the webinar and seen enough and want to head off, that is the actual workshop finished. But I'll now, if you want to hang around and I'll try to answer any questions. and we'll see how we go. If you want to come off and just ask your questions off mute, that's fine. So Svetlana's asked, and Svetlana is actually a visiting scholar who's visiting us at the moment and is actually a very experienced and excellent user of Terra, and is actually we're doing a review with her right now to
Thank you.
using it. Thanks, Svetlana, and always ask great questions. So I'm always glad that when she comes to a workshop. So is it better to only put main inclusion criteria, or is it better to provide examples, e.g., interventions to help GPs to de-prescribe antidepressants, education audit tools? Excellent question. We don't really know. The trying to figure out exactly how the large language models works and what's best and what's not. It seems to work well, although we've tried it a few times, but it's hard to kind of really do it in a non-biased way. But we have found that something kind of short and succinct, but a bit descriptive is what works better. So instead of interventions to help GPs to prescribe antidepressants, something like what can general practitioners do to help de-prescribe antidepressants? Or when you're talking about an intervention, don't just say put the intervention in, actually say people treated with the therapy that is your intervention. Again, if someone's got a
Hmm.
disease or a problem, it just works a little better if you say people with acne as opposed to just putting in acne. The large language model is just like a tiny bit of description about it. But we haven't really noticed any real big difference, to be honest. Murugan has asked, was there any comparison with other tools that elicit as the review, etc., done a test efficiency? Um, will it be possible to still evaluate, validate manually? Um, yes, you can go and you can review every single decision the MechaScreener makes. We don't like to black box anything. That's why you can just go, you can actually pull out and look through the exclusions the ones we've automatically excluded. We haven't really compared it with the other tools because no other tool that I'm aware of anyway is on call. So um, we don't really see. I do, work in this field. I know the tools you're talking about, and I do read evaluations about them. And as far as I know, none of them have got 100% safety or 100% recall. So we haven't compared with them. I think in the paper, though, we do talk a little bit about some of the other tools. One day, if I ever get enough money, I would actually love to run some sort of comparison versus some of the other tools in the field. We've done similar things like that with deduplication tools, which will be published soon, where we compared our deduplicator to a whole bunch of other deduplicators out there to see which one's best. If you want to know which one's best, read Research Synthesis Methods in about 3 months, I think. Fingers crossed. Hopefully, our paper should be published in about 3 months. Of course, that's entirely up to the editors of Research Synthesis Methods. So Miles has asked why we base inclusion criteria only, why not we use exclusion criteria. Uh, we just found that it just seemed to drop off. So the 100% dropped a little bit to about 98 point something percent across just a couple of the reviews. The large language model just got a bit confused. That's all. So we don't recommend it. We just found during the evaluations, the exclusion criteria just dropped it from 100%. I mean, it wasn't a very big drop; it was only a tiny drop, but we liked staying at 100% ourselves. And then Yang's asked, does Terra have support in guideline development for many PICOs? No, not no. We really focus on systematic reviews. We have talked to guideline developers, so I know quite a few of the people who work for GIN, which is a Guidelines International Network. And I also have some good friends at the HTAI agency who do HTAIs and some guidelines in Germany. So we would love to kind of build something to help then with guidelines as well and guideline development. And we've talked about creating review wizards to help write guidelines. At this point, though, no, I can't afford it because we run on a pretty tight budget. So we haven't been able to deploy any resources to work into guideline development. But guideline development relies heavily on systematic reviews anyway. So we'd like to think we support guideline developments by supporting the systematic reviews that often underpin them. So Lana's also pulled us another good question. If I have a high number of hits, e.g. 3,000, is it better to split into small? If you're using the free account, yes, you'll have to split it into small ones of 1,000 each and do it over 3 months. But otherwise, if you just have got the membership and you can do 10,000, just do all 3,000 at once. That's much better. The MechaScreener doesn't care. It'll screen all day. It really doesn't care how many you hit it with. And Meles has asked, are we using the same process for full text review? No, I generally will put my included studies from total abstract screening. I'll actually put them in EndNote and then use EndNote find full text to attach the PDFs to it. And I actually still screen in EndNote for full text screening. I actually find that's still the best one to do. But you could use MechaScreener when you got to the full text process. Although it wouldn't really do much since it should have already reviewed them during title and abstract. And currently we don't have a way for you to attach the PDF for it to be run through MechaScreener, although it is something that we are thinking about doing in the future. Anne has asked an excellent question. Are there any journals not accepting SLR publications if done with Terra? None that I'm aware of. So we've been using Terra for, well, it was called Systematic Review Accelerator before we changed it to the Evidence Review Accelerator, but we've been using it for 10 years. We've been using some of the polyglot tool, for instance, which is referenced or cited in like thousands of articles. But we've also been using our automatic review writer, which writes the methods section of your review, published lots of reviews using that. I mean, so up till now, no, every journal has had no problem with us using Terra to do our reviews. And we can't foresee a problem with the MechaScreener either because, plenty of people are doing it. And of course, people can cite now the preprint, and hopefully that will be enough. Although, to be honest, we've only submitted a couple of reviews recently where we've used it, I think. Oh, no, we haven't submitted any yet. So we'll find out. But as far as I know, no review is, they've been happy with every other tool, I guess, that we've used in Terra to do our reviews up till now. And we assume the same will be true with MechaScreener. And the Prisma flowchart, the Prisma 2020 flowchart actually has a line in it for numbers removed automatically by automated tools. So we're going to go with no, but yeah, we'll find out because MechaScreener, to be honest, has only been up for a couple of months. So we haven't yet tried to publish a review where we used it, but we will be. All our reviews now are using it. All right, well, I probably should have stopped sharing my screen earlier, but I'm out of comments to make. Oh, no worries. Hopefully you enjoy it, or at least find it useful. If you're not sure about paying the $100 or becoming a member, I still recommend trying it out and seeing how it screens for your reviews. Because you can just jump on tonight or today, this morning, I don't know, wherever you are, and you can actually just bang in some old references that maybe you've used or screened previously. You can actually just have a quick look, see how it goes and see how it performs. So you can do 1,000 right now. Well, thank you all. Thank you for coming. And I guess happy mecha screenering. But if there's no more questions, I'm going to log off. Oh, thank you, Ghana. Svetlana, how you doing?
Yeah.
I'm assuming you got a question. Oh, I'm going to stop recording, sorry, as
No
well.
questions anymore.